Hey there, just wanted to jump in before we got to the hall to explain a few things. What follows is a very hastily put together collaboration between myself and my friend Ashley Main. I'm really a very introverted person and she's a lot more in touch with the local community events. So when she invited me along to take in the Ujamaa Grandmas fabric sale, I was intrigued and happy to go with an amazing support human. To say the experience was overwhelming is an understatement. I'm very happy to have had Ashley with me because I had a great time in no small part due to her presence. And I'm very thankful she gave me a heads up about the sale. Because if you stick around to watch the rest of the video, I'm sure you'll agree I came away with some absolutely fantastic stuff. I'd also like to thank the Husbeast and my supporters on Patreon and channel memberships. It's because of you that I can do this. I mean, most especially the Husbeast, he has to put up with me on a daily basis. The name Ujamaa Grandmas is a weird one, and there's a link to their homepage in the description. It started off as one woman donating the proceeds of her sales at a craft fair to the Stephen Lewis Foundation, which supports grassroots efforts working on the HIV-AIDS epidemic across Africa. Stephen Lewis is a former leader of the Ontario NDP, a provincial arm of our more popular Canadian left-wing party. He's also associated with the late great Jack Layton and the father of Canadian healthcare himself, Tommy Douglas. Lewis was also the Canadian ambassador to the United Nations in the 1980s, served as the deputy director of UNICEF in the 90s, and in the early 2000s was a United Nations special envoy for HIV-AIDS in Africa. Somewhere in there, he also found the time to work as a political commentator for the CBC, Canada's national broadcasting service. Like the Stephen Lewis Foundation, Ujamaa Grandmas has grown over time, but it's never changed their grassroots approach. This year's sale was held at Calgary's Garrison Curling Club, and the place was absolutely packed. It's not lost on me that holding a charity sale in a curling rink is probably the most Canadian thing ever. In the video that follows, you'll hear me incorrectly state that I bought things as I went. That's an error due to flying by the seat of my pants. The way it worked was thus. They give you 2 slips of paper and they let you loose in the main room, which has been divided up into sections. Each section is manned by a small team of older ladies, often 1 to 3 people. Sometimes more if the section warrants it. Lost? Look for someone with white, silver, gray, or fading hair. If they're not one of the grandmas on staff, they can probably point you to someone who is. Honestly, everyone is just friendly, even your fellow shoppers. Sure, you might both be eyeing that box of yellow cotton, but there's a kind of camaraderie that develops after you've met up a few times in the green, blue, and purple aisles of the general fabric section. If you're going to get the premium yarn, grab it while you can. When you've picked out the things you want from a section, you present those things to the attending grandmas and they'll fill out the appropriate place on the slip. At the end of everything, you haul yourself, your ill-gotten gains, and your slips of paper back to the front, where another team of grandmas are manning the checkout. No cash, only debit or credit. Last year, over $140,000 was raised by Ujamaa Grandmas fabric and yarn sale alone, and I'm almost afraid to find out what the total for this year will be. They have more events coming up later in the year, and if you're local and interested, definitely check out their website for more info. It is amazing what we can do when we work together. Even just a small thing like donating the proceeds from a bag sale at a craft fair. And now on to the haul, and 2 women being completely awkward in front of their cameras. So this was probably a bad idea. It's all your fault.
It is my fault.
So, Ashley, anyone who's on my channel, this is Ashley Main, the oft mentioned and rarely seen. Ashley had this idea to go to what basically was a huge fabric yard sale.
Essentially, yeah.
If I recall correctly, it's a bunch of grandmothers poured a whole bunch of crafting supplies, like secondhand crafting supplies for the whole year, and then in the springtime they hold a huge sale with the proceeds going to help kids with AIDS in Africa.
Correct, yeah.
About a month ago, Ashley asked me if I'd like to go on this little jaunt, and I said sure, and I was not prepared.
To be fair, I didn't know what we were getting ourselves into either. It was a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be.
We were not prepared. So we roll up to this place. You got there before I did.
Yeah.
And I somehow managed to snag a spot actually in the parking lot.
I did not.
She was waiting at the front for me. And I get out of the car and I've got my one bag with my couple of filming things. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just going to bring a selfie stick and we'll see what we can... Yeah, no. I should have brought half the bags in the car.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm standing there waiting for her, watching people come out with like cart after cart, like whole things, waiting for their husbands to pull up with vans, like that level of...
You are not prepared!
We handed over the tickets, we went in, and it was like something out of Indiana Jones, because the skies opened and the angels sang, and there was so much stuff.
So much stuff.
So much stuff.
And not just fabric, there was...
There were notions, there was yarn, there were patterns and books and sewing machines.
Oh yeah, sewing machines. There was a loom at one point.
Oh, I missed the loom. There was just so much of everything. So today you get to see what I brought back. Bin was not included. I managed to get a bigger bag at the venue from somebody who was selling yarn. They were selling something like 4 skeins and then said to me, oh, all I've got is this really huge bag, at which point I said, yes, thank you.
I will say everyone was very nice.
They were. Well, that's what happens when you're in a room full of grandmas who care. Yeah, I'm going to lift up if you...
Yeah, I'll pull it away.
A few moments later.
You're getting to see the last step first. Because this combination is something that I turned to Ashley and I said, tell me, am I crazy? And she said...
I'm like, I don't know, it looks a little hobbity.
The husbeast is a walking hobbit. So we've got this beautiful, beautiful green plaid and slightly mustardy check. I say slightly because it's very slight. It's mostly gray. There's just a very tinge of yellow to it.
Well, and these are actually wool. So these were they had actually pulled all the wool aside. So sort of wild getting wool for $5 a meter, I think it was.
Yeah. So 1.5 meters for $5. And I think this guy, 4 meters for 20.
I don't even fully remember what I got because I haven't opened mine since we went, so.
Oh no. We've got a beautiful blue crushed velvet.
So what are you thinking for that?
Kind of thinking tank top.
Tank top?
It is giving me serious 1990s Shirley Manson glam. Seriously. And then I'm thinking probably a blouse of some sort.
See it? Yeah. Yeah, it feels like... It does feel like a poly. I think it is like a crepe, but it's like a finer...
Yeah.
A finer crepe. So yeah, something drapey and...
So yeah, there's that, and then there's this length as well. So I think they're probably about 2 meters each, 1 to 2 meters each.
Yeah, you might be able to make a dress out of that. It's heavy enough.
We'll see. I wasn't expecting this. It's a knit.
Oh, it's a knit.
It's a knit.
Oh, yeah.
And it is very blue.
It's very slinky.
Very slinky, very blue. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have t-shirts for ages out of this.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of skirts or dresses because I'm not sure I would like the way they cling.
Slinky, because it's slinky.
But definitely tops.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely tops.
I think you got quite a bit of that, too.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot there. I'm not going to show how much it is because it is a lot.
Well, I tried to get pieces that were a bit bigger for... So it's nice because the sale, they have a minimum 1 yard for most of the... Or 1 meter for most of the stuff, so...
So in that case, this is probably somewhere around 5 or 6 meters.
Wow.
It's big. Like
Yeah.
And we've got this guy. I don't know what to do with it.
Let's see. Oh yeah. I mean, it is almost like. I mean, you could just use it as lining, but
I could. Or it could be another blouse.
yeah.
Or a dress. That might make a wrap dress of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe a rose claire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
At very least, it would make a really nice rose claire top.
Yeah, you'd probably want to like starch it so you didn't lose your mind a little bit, but
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, oh, that gorgeous rose color would be beautiful.
oh, I didn't even see you get that piece.
Oh yeah, I snagged this out of the red section. I'm not sure how much it is, like 1 or 2 meters. But
Huh? Pants or
maybe. We'll see if I have enough. Maybe shorts.
shorts? Yeah.
Might be good for shorts. I was trying to find things that I could make nice pink. I was trying to find things that I could make a nice pair of pants out of. So a lot of this kind of goes into that particular area.
I had plans, then we went in there, so you know.
I had plans to do a lot of looking. I didn't have plans to do a lot of buying.
Wow.
Then we've got another knit.
Well, that's a knit.
That's a knit.
Oh, it's a velvet knit.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a pattern in it.
Well,
Interesting.
It's kind of organic pattern to it.
Yeah.
I think those are plants of some sort.
Leaves, yeah.
Leaves. Not sure.
See if it'll show on camera.
It'll show on the cam. But yeah. It is freaking gorgeous. And again, giving me the glam 80s kind of retro mall goth look.
There's a theme here.
There is a theme here. Do not let the pinks and blues deceive you. I am a recovering goth. Pants fabric. I'm pretty sure that this is pants fabric.
Yeah,
That's pants fabric.
I think it's like a poly twill.
Definitely a poly. Not
Poly
sure if
twill.
it's a twill, but yeah, it's close.
Pretty sure, yeah, with the
I was looking for twills.
yeah.
I have a tendency to think of twill as being like denim, when really they're related, but they're kind of sisters, not twins.
Yeah, it's the weave, not the weight.
There we go. But yes, a nice black hole for the camera.
Yeah. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see anything, but
Probably
hey.
not. But then we have this lovely cream.
Oh, I didn't see you get that either. Oh. It's like it's trying to be
I think it's trying to be linen, but it's probably polished.
yeah, it's trying to be like a slubbed linen.
Yeah. But I don't think it is.
I don't think it's all poly.
Probably a blend. It does need to go into the washer
Yeah.
because it is discolored. I saw it and I thought, this is a lovely off-white. And then I realized how blotchy it was. It's like, it's a lovely off-white that needs to be washed. So
Bleached.
maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens once it comes out of the wash the first time, but I'll be serging those edges so I lose as little as possible. And there we go.
Go from there.
We have the lovely little charm pack from the
Quilt block.
quilt area. There was an entire area full of quilting cottons and so on, and all I did was come out with a tiny little Ziploc bag full of, I guess these are called charm squares or something.
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of like bags of different kind of sets of stuff, which was kind of cool if you were. I don't quilt, but
I kind of quilt under duress.
it was like actually organized quite well though for the quilting stuff, I thought.
Oh,
So
yeah. And then more pants.
Oh, that was that gray, I think.
Nice gray.
Yeah, suiting. Oh,
It's kind of
it's
a
heavier
twill.
weight than.
It's heavier weight than a regular suiting.
Yeah, it's not a twill, but it's like it's like a
kind of-
brushed.
Yeah,
Seems like
it's-
brushed cottonish.
yeah. Which I do have a little experience with the burgundy blouse that I made a couple of years back, the Victorian one. It was, I believe, a brushed cotton.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this, hopefully there's enough in here to make a pair of pants or shorts. Pants, hopefully.
Pants only. That seems more like winter,
Fall, winter.
fall, wintry.
Yeah. And then, back to the stuff in the white section that I found. I don't know what it'll make. Maybe a corset cover. Handbag.
Oh, it's got like
It's
a.
very thin, yeah.
It's got like a. I'm opening your fabric.
Yes, you are.
So you can. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see
Everybody's
the.
going to be able to see that. Yeah,
It's got like a white on white pattern in it.
got a white on white floral pattern. If I need to, I'll take the camera afterwards and
I'm trying.
pan over it. But yeah, depending on how much is actually here, it could make a slip like a slip cover or
Yeah.
corset cover or a lining for something, or just a handbag. Lots you can do with small bits. And then more velvet, because of course the recovering goth needs more velvet.
Oh yeah.
Might be able to make a top out of this. Might.
And make yourself a sassy little skirt too. Little A-line.
Little A-line. Velvet corset.
Velvet corset, because yeah, it's got a heavier weight to it for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is definitely a silk, or not a silk. It's definitely a velvet. It's not crushed velvet. It's not faux velvet.
Yeah, it seems like it's a cotton blended velvet.
Yeah, yeah. And then, last but not least for the fabric, this fancy boy pants. It'll probably either be a pair of pants or shorts or a skirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be good if you could get. I think you've got enough here to make a pair of pants out of it.
It's possible,
If you like. Depending on the pattern.
depending on pattern. I've got a few of those. And then in here, we have bouton buttons. Buttons. Mostly black buttons, or in this case, there's a couple. Looks like there's a couple of yellow buttons.
Yes. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Might have to dig that out. Those match the ones that I got. That's part of the same set.
nice. Shinies. And yeah,
Penguin patch?
penguin patch.
I didn't even see that.
Because I snafu'd it. And then we have yarn. Don't worry, I didn't go whole hog. First thing I found was this lovely little set. And that is a summer breeze wrap and a silk lace weight yarn. It's really quite nice. The colors are more Ashley's tree.
Yes.
So you never know. I may get the fun of making the shawl, and you may get the fun of wearing the shawl.
I'm okay with that.
It's either that, or we're going to teach you how to knit, and this will be your, senior year project.
I was going to say, that seems... Maybe let's not start with silk. I don't know.
Carrot and stick. I had been going through all of the yarn, and here's the thing. There's a lot of acrylic. A lot of acrylic. And that's not a bad thing. Acrylic needs homes. Rather than just tossing it into a landfill, taking it to a place where it will hopefully find a new home and a new use is aces. That's A number one for me. Mm-hmm. Particularly since the microplastics in acrylic hang around. And the thing is, there's a lot of crocheters out there who go through yarn so quickly that acrylic is cheap and it's quick and it's easy to get. And unfortunately, if your stash definitely exceeds your life expectancy, you've got no place to pull it. You're not going to be using it. Somebody else might as well. So I didn't hold out a lot of hope. There was a little bit of sock yarn on my first pass, and a lot of it was leftovers. Sock yarn is mostly what I go for because there wasn't a lot in the way of sweater quantities of wool. I think those had been mostly picked over, at least for the amount of time that we were there. So I took a look for socks because I like a good sock. And I did see some vintage yarn. I saw some like vintage 2-ply that I'm pretty sure Claudia, Retro Claude, probably would have loved. But I wasn't sure whether or not I'd have enough room for it, whether I'd have any kind of use for it, and whether there was enough of it to make much of anything out of it. So I did a first pass, found the kit. We were chatting for a little bit because you got a chance to sit down for a little.
Yeah, I found a chair, and we made the unfortunate mistake of picking out all our fabric first. So I was just sitting there with the hoard around me, is kind of how that was going while she was looking through all the stuff. So I missed a lot of this.
Next time we're taking a cart, because if we decide to tackle the biggest part of the stash first, it's good to have a place that you can put it that you don't have to carry it. I was about to go and pay for the kit, and something caught my eye, and I decided to do another round through the sock yarn because we've been chatting for about 5 minutes. And yeah, I came back with socks that rock. Some of you don't know what that is, and that's fine. Others are probably going, ooh, what? Blue Moon Fiber Arts. It's backwards. Their logo's backwards on that one. That's the yarn isn't necessarily a second, but the ball band definitely is. Blue Moon Fiber Arts socks that rock for the longest time, and this is going back a couple of decades now, I guess. For those who don't know, there is a Canadian knitter by the name of Stephanie Pearl McVeigh who became rather famous in knitting under the name the Yarn Harlot. And she would knit socks. And she became friends with the person who owned Blue Moon Fiber Arts. I'm not sure whether they still do. I'm not even sure Blue Moon is still in business. It's been years since I've looked them up. But every year Blue Moon would do a sock club. So every month or two you would get a skein of yarn in the mail and pattern for what kind of socks you could make from it. So they would usually get somebody to custom design a sock to be used with their stuff. So the Blue Moon Socks That Rock Sock Club was really popular, and a lot of people wanted to be in it, and it was super expensive. I could not afford to be in it. It was, I think, over $200 for a year, and that was for like 6 skeins of yarn. No, because a skein of yarn can go for anywhere upwards of, well, I think most of them are upwards of $20 or $30 nowadays, depending on what the fiber content is.
Well, this one's got like a name on it, so yeah. That must have been like
that's the color
the month.
Well, sometimes you'd see a month on it, depending on whether it came in the sock club, the Rockin' Sock Club. Sometimes they just give it a name, and the pattern would be something to do with the time of year. So let's say the inspiration was somebody's chicken with all the colors of a Rhode Island red or something like that.
So Becky Sue the chicken?
Maybe.
Or the frog, maybe?
Or a frog. Or just they knew somebody named Becky Sue. Or it was a character in a movie or something. The pattern might be, say, a pair of mittens with a chicken on it. So in this case, I've got 3 skeins for no more than $17. I think 2 of them are $15.
This one's 17.
And that one's $17. And that is an exceptionally good price because after not only taxes but also the American return, you're looking at upwards of $30 for 1 skein of yarn. So here we have Becky Sue, which is a gorgeous lime green and blue and purple. These will probably make the husband some very nice socks because he loves lime colors. We have Princess Plummy, which is a superwash merino. This is also a superwash merino. And that's burgundy colors. So that is fantastic skein of yarn for $15. And then what it says is a mill end, which may contain flaws in color and or strands, no returns. Also a superwash merino.
I mean, that one's the most interesting because it's just like...
It's got a lot of things here. Doesn't look like it has a name. So it is a mill end, but it's got greens and periwinkle and brown and peach. Little purple. Honestly, that was probably the best thing that I could have come across. I was able to get into the Rock and Sock Club 1 year, but only for 1 year. And I saved up, I think, about 2 or 3 years to get into there. So to come across 3 skeins of yarn, which is probably worth about $100 easily, Canadian.
Oof. Maybe I don't want to get into knitting.
Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. No places. And the last stuff that I found were some pattern things. So, first off, The Art of English Smocking by Diane Durand. Diane Durand. So a nice little book all on the art of smocking with little directions of what to do and ideas that you can make from the directions in the book. It's just a tiny book, nothing big. It doesn't have any patterns per se, but it does give you the gist of what's up with smocking. And then we've got Anne Orr's classic tatting patterns.
She was like, what?
Yeah, I saw that. It was like, yoink, coming home with me.
The sale has everything.
Well, here's the thing if you take a look at it. Published in Canada by General Publishing Company Limited, 30 Les Mill Road, Don Mills, Toronto, Ontario. Published in the United Kingdom by Constable and Company Limited. Dover edition, first published in 1985, is an unabridged republication of Tatting Book Number 35 Revised, as published by Anne Orr, Nashville, in 1940.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a reprint of a vintage book. I think I may have seen other ones that are earlier prints on the Antique Pattern Library.
Oh, okay.
It's nice to actually have that in hand. The last thing I found, and this is thanks to Ashley because she found a whole bunch of these things, it's an embroidery pattern for a company called The Scarlet Letter, circa 1990. And it is a pattern based on a sampler from 1660 by Margaret Mason.
And they're all from the V&A, so they had a whole bunch from all sorts of different years. When I was like, there was like a whole stack though. There was probably like too many to be reasonable, but.
But I went along and I looked for something that was nice, that had elements that I would enjoy. Like they've got some almost Tudorish looks to it, but it's not really churchy. It doesn't have scripture readings on it. It doesn't have a, little lesson on it. It's just pretty. we don't really have a lot of religious stuff around the house. So I didn't want to have to try and find a Lord of the Rings quote that would
to replace it with.
To replace it with. So get a nice little pile of stuff. Very little, because I had been hoping to kind of look through the patterns, but a lot of it looked to be commercial patterns like McCall's.
Yeah.
It didn't look to be a lot of real... Well, the vintage was like 1970s and up, I think.
Yeah, there was mostly 1970s and up. There was a lot of 80s patterns. Yeah, it was pretty much all Big Four stuff. And in that era of Big Four, they didn't really produce any sort of plus size. So it was kind of...
Catch can.
There was so much of it there that it was just like, it would have taken us probably another hour to go through it. And I don't know if it would have been worth it.
One thing that took me back is they had a whole bunch of like stitch and sew stretch knit stuff.
Yeah.
Like the 1970s black stitch and sew type of thing. I think it was Stitch and Sew that did the black with like the very 1970s lettering and pictures of like whatever it was, like for instance how to make lingerie and how to make a sport coat out of knit.
I mean, there was still some like Vogue American designer stuff, like those the big Vogues left.
Mm-hmm.
But none that were really earlier than like the super 80s ones. Like I did take a look through those ones, but I feel like probably the good ones, I mean, we were there on the first day, but we were there in the afternoon of the first day. So I feel like probably anything that was like the super...
We were there for like the second half of it.
Yeah, the real, like, those ones probably got snapped up pretty quick, I would imagine, because they're pretty easy to spot in the pile, because they're the oversized, so...
Yeah. The things not in here are all of the things like notions and tools. I saw like embroidery and quilting frames.
Yeah.
Q-snaps. That's for cross-stitching, and I guess you can use it for quilting.
Yeah.
There was a huge one. It was like a big cube. And then the sewing machines.
Yeah, the sewing machines.
The sewing machines were gorgeous. Neither of us brought any home.
It was tempting. There was a minute where I'm standing by one, but...
I've already got an antique sewing machine. Husbeast would probably kill me if I brought home another one. No matter how gorgeous the table was.
Yeah, the one I was really... They had an old crank sewing machine that was called the Seamstress Vibrator. I do have a picture of it. And so I nearly walked away with that one just purely as a set decoration, and I thought that might be a bit much.
We'd probably get demonetized.
Yeah, probably.
But we'll find out when B-roll goes up.
B-roll goes in, yeah. But
so yeah, that was our day out.
Yeah.
From my perspective, at least. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. So, bearing in mind that the plaid and check combination from the very beginning is going to be for the husbeast, I guess we'll have to find out what it is I'm going to make. We're thinking what we might do is make something from our spoils of war. So, if there's anything you think that might suit, just leave a comment down below.
She keeps reminding me what a bad influence I am.
Bad influence. Next, I'm pretty sure we're going to Marshall's again.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to buy anything else. It'll be painful. But that's me. So if you want to see what Ashley picked up, you're going to have to go to Ashley's channel for that. There will be a link somewhere up here.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully we see you over there.